"She was born to fly and belongs up there with the angels," said Carl Cover, a pilot for the Douglas Aircraft Company. In the mid-1900s, war, commerce, and transportation increasingly depended upon airplanes. For example, the XB-15 was one of the first bombers used in war. Airplane engineers created new aircrafts for war, but no airplane existed to transport people or make companies money commercially. The DC-3, however, logistically and strategically did it all. It was used not only for war, but also for commercial transportation. The Douglas DC-3 was the most revolutionary airplane in the mid-1900s because it reformed warfare and air travel. The Douglas DC-3 was revolutionary because it reformed warfare.
For the first time, the military had an airplane that could go in and out of any place, or just about. It had the ability to haul things for them, to evacuate people, to do things that they hadn't been able to do before. Eisenhower made the statement, he said, one of the things that helped us win the war was the C-47.
The DC-3 was not a bomber. It carried men and supplies, and was even made into a gunship later on. While this doesn't sound like a very important job, it definitely was. When people think of war airplanes, most minds think of bombers above the front lines. The B-29 bomber, for example, supported land invasions and provided deterrence. What most people don't think about, however, is that the Douglas DC-3 provided even more important logistical and strategic transportation of soldiers and supplies. Many wars utilized the DC-3. During World War II, the DC-3 was involved in one of the most important strategic landings, D-Day. D-Day was the first major invasion to stop Hitler's Germany from advancing through Europe. The United States invaded and attacked Germany from the French coast as troops were dropped and fought from the ground. The DC-3 brought troops from base to their target drop. This was a very important logistic and strategic job and represented a turning point of the war. Another operation the DC-3 was involved in was called Operation Dragoon. During this important maneuver, DC-3s dropped 5,100 British and U.S. paratroops at Les May near Nice, in France, which eventually forced the German army to abandon southern France and retreat under constant Allied attack. The DC-3 was also involved in the Vietnam War. In the 1950s, the United States helped newly independent Vietnam assemble a small air force, 2 squadrons of DC-3s to protect Vietnamese citizens from the communist Viet Cong. By the 1960s, additional DC-3s supplied and helped the Southern Vietnamese Air Force transport supplies and soldiers. Eventually, engineers attached mini Gatling guns to the DC-3 as the airplane was reborn into a highly efficient logistical gunship. The reliability of the DC-3 also reformed warfare. As Henry Ford said, "Of course, one of my biggest interests in the airplane is that it may prove to be a destroyer of war. I think that it will be its biggest service." The DC-3 made some of the biggest war tasks more efficient and was essential to the logistics of transporting soldiers and supplies. In addition to revolutionizing the U.S. military, the DC-3 also revolutionized and reformed commercial air travel.
For the first time, the airlines had an airplane that could make money for them.
Even though mid-20th century airplanes engineers created new aircrafts for war, no airplane existed to consistently transport people. The DC-3 was the first airplane companies profited from. This initiated the American travel by plane revolution and led to positive reactions about the durability, reliability, and safety of airplanes. The DC-3's legacy can be summed up in the words of Arthur Raymond, vice president engineer of the Douglas Aircraft Company, as he said, "We didn't know we were building a legend." The Douglas DC-3 revolutionized the distance commercial airplanes traveled. One of the specifications of Smith, president of American Airlines, was a sleeper plane, so passengers could sleep during flights, thus allowing planes and passengers to fly longer distances. The DC-3 allowed travelers to get to their destinations rested and in good time. Its average range was 1,025 miles and its cruising speed was 170 miles per hour. These new speeds and distances led to longer journeys and more convenient travel. The DC-3 was built to carry 21 passengers, but Qantas Airlines rigged its DC-3s with slings and carried 50 people on flights from Australia to New Guinea. Colonel Jimmy Doolittle was very confident in the DC-3 as well. During World War II, it carried 76 people out of war-torn China, including 21 fully equipped Chinese soldiers, 30 Chinese civilians, 22 children, the pilot, co-pilot, and Colonel Jimmy Doolittle, who was returning from the raid over Japan. As Doolittle said, "I wasn't worried about the number of people on board. I was worried about running out of gas." This clearly shows that people had a lot of trust in this aircraft and believed it could do what they needed it to. Even when it may have pushed the aircraft's limits, the DC-3 always landed safe and, for the most part, in one piece. The DC-3's reliability also led to positive reactions about airplane safety. Simply put, it was durable. As DC-3 pilots said, "You can crash a DC-3, but you can't wear it out." A true statement for these special aircrafts. They could lose parts of its ship and fly to a safe landing. Once a Capital Airlines DC-3 had a mid-air collision in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It lost 5 feet of one wing and more than 4 feet of airline, which are flight control services, yet made a safe landing without any injuries. Before the DC-3, most airplanes weren't as durable. Travelers were surprised to find out an airplane could survive a crash. A bomb even exploded in a DC-3 over Mexico, the first on a commercial airliner. Part of a wing, fuel tank, and body of the aircraft were blown away. Even though it caused a scare, there were no injuries and the plane landed safely. In conclusion, the DC-3 was the most revolutionary aircraft in the mid-1900s because it reformed air travel and revolutionized warfare. Its durability led to positive reactions about airline safety, and its many uses encouraged people to think about airplanes different. It also reformed air travel because of the new speeds and distances it could travel, thus making travel by air more convenient and efficient. The Douglas DC-3 also revolutionized warfare because it made war logistics efficient and effectively transported soldiers and supplies. As a Delta Airlines pilot stated, "It flew like a leaf, responsive to every mission. It bounced up and down in turbulence, bored through thunderclouds, skidded on snow-covered runways, but it did the job." We can't help having a soft spot for them. No matter how many trips out, they always came chugging home with you. The newer planes are faster, and they have all the latest gadgets on them. I doubt if any will ever be more dependable than the old DC-3.